thanks for being with us. Today we're talking about your film. It's a very special submission to our festival here at History International Film Festival Austria. We have submissions from all over the world about very different time spans and moments that are in focus of the film productions. Your is one of the few contemporary films. We are very glad to have you with us and to give us a perspective what the challenges were of your production. But before everything, we'd like to start with you giving us a small introduction, who you are and what your film is about. How did you call your film? Let's start with that.
All right. Okay. My name is Elena Romaniuk. I'm Ukrainian, living in Barcelona since 12 years ago. And thanks, first of all, for inviting me here, for letting me tell our story and talk about what matters to us, all Ukrainians, the most nowadays, right? So our film's name is Good Evening, We Are From Barcelona, which makes a reference to a famous saying from Ukraine, Good evening, we are from Ukraine, right? So it represents the life and the fight of our Ukrainian community living here in Barcelona. Well, we take as a start point the day one of the Russian invasion in Ukraine. But actually, like you mentioned before, this fight takes part from like long time ago, right? Along the Ukrainian history developing next to Russia, sometimes mixing by force. So we tried to represent the kind of some insights so that the whole world knows the right history, because as we know, history can be manipulated and it's usually the winner who writes the history, right? So unfortunately for us Ukrainians, the winner has many times been Russia, and it has manipulated the interpretation of Ukrainian history as it wanted, right? So we understood, I mean, maybe it was a little bit late, but we understood that the information war is as much important as the war on the field side, right? So we realized that the foreigners, I mean, Europeans in our case, didn't know much about Ukrainian history. So we decided to create first a theater play to talk about our history, our true history from the inside, from how we lived it, how we felt it, and our grandparents lived it. As a contrast to what Russia has told to the world about Ukraine, right? So we created our theater play like on the second or third month of the full-scale invasion in Ukraine. So it was April and May 2022. And so we gave this message, right, speaking about the true history of Ukraine. After that, along with this history play, of course, there were organized a lot of manifestations, protests, actions to call the attention, right, of Europeans to the war, to this unjust war. By the way, the most important, the central square of Barcelona, named Plaza Catalunya, was taken for our protests for 1 month. During this time, Ukrainian activists lived on the square day and night, trying to attract attention to the war, right? So all these events, the protests plus the theater, were expressed in this documentary film, which you kindly accepted in your festival, right? We talk a lot about our history in this film and in our theater play, because it seems to us a crucial point to understand what is really happening, why this war happened, to understanding the Ukrainian spirit and the Russian spirit, which is, I would say, even more important to understanding the core of this conflict, of this war, right? Also to explain Europeans why Ukrainians are so fierce defending themselves, because it's not a thing that happened a couple of or 10 years ago. It's a thing, it's a fight that continues for centuries. And it's something that we inherited from our ancestors, and it's something that we need to do because we know that Russia is an empire that has always been cruel, not only to us but also to other nations. Like any other empire, it doesn't have kind methods, right? It only wants to take a power of you and to destroy your culture, your literature, your language, your set of mind. You must be like them, you must love Russia, you must speak Russian language, otherwise you are destroyed, right? So this is the most important message that we wanted to show, and we continue speaking about even now, right? Because Russian propaganda speaks about we are brothers, we have to continue being together, but Ukrainians don't feel it's a brotherhood attitude, right? It's a brotherhood relationship that Russians offer us. So the main message, the main importance of this movie is to counteract the Russian propaganda and try to win this propaganda, let's say, not propaganda, but the information war, right? We understand, we realize that our resources are not as big as Russia can use, right? We don't have this much, we never had actually these many instruments to invest in the information, in this information battle, but we are trying to do this.
Well, it's really great that you take part in the political ongoings in the world with your film, and you see it as a necessity to do something and to take part as a filmmaker. And I'd like to know, is there do you think that more people in the world that do produce films should now start reflecting with their work on contemporary problems, on problems in their countries, on problems with of their daily life, with the help of historical reflections like you are doing?
Well, the day before yesterday, I just went to the cinema to see 20 Days in Mariupol, the Oscar-winning Ukrainian documentary film. I think that was a huge message to the whole world to see the atrocities that Russia brought to Ukraine. The core point was Mariupol, but actually it's the thing that Russia is doing to every Ukrainian right now borderline city, but it could spread to the whole Ukraine, unfortunately. And actually, I'm convinced that if Ukraine falls, it could spread to other European countries because, like we said before, Russia uses empires methods, right? So the empire doesn't survive if it doesn't grow. So my main message is that we all have to be united to protect ourselves for our common security and for the not only to be on the right side of the history right now, but also to prevent the wrong development of the world, because right now we are fighting for preserving the democratic world, the world of liberty and the human values. But if the totalitarian regimes like Russia or Iran or North Korea win, and they are learning right now, they are watching and learning, all of us who always stood by the values of democracy could get hurt, right? So I'd like to send this clear message to all Europeans and beyond Europe as well. I'm speaking about Europe because we are in Europe right now. That we have to be united because it's our common fight.
A few questions on the film per se. What was your participation to this project explicitly?
Right. I'm a Ukrainian activist. I was a creator of the theater play. I was the screenwriter of this play. And I was one of the actors of the film. Right now, I'm representing the team who created the film. I wasn't a producer or director, but I speak in their names as well. And I guess that's it.
Do you plan to continue making films, whether on this topic specifically or on others in the near future?
Of course, together with your
Yeah, I think we do. We continue working. The history we are living right now is changing, and besides the necessity to help Ukraine, to help Europe, we also feel that we need to document more things about our current history.
And is the film itself being shown in Ukraine at this moment as well?
The film we are representing in your festival, you mean?
Yeah.
And no, it hasn't passed all the course of festivals yet. That's why we haven't shown it publicly. But once it's done, we will of course we will try to show it publicly to as many people as possible, to show to the Ukrainians living in Ukraine that they're not alone, they're not isolated, that they are backed and supported in other countries. By the way, we won in a Odessa film festival, and it was very kind hint to us that we should continue.
Yeah, please do that. We are very glad that you found some time in all the hustle that's going on in your country to have an interview with us about it. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you very much for giving us this voice. You can't even imagine how important it is to us, especially in these moments. Thank you.
Yeah, it's kind of a duty to provide also something, a little stage for the huge endeavor you're taking on and the problems you're tackling. Festivals like us, we watch what is happening in Russia with all their history twisting propaganda and the way they are basing the logic of the whole war on historical facts. And so it's very strange to us to see that Russia is trying to argue and justify a war with historical misinformation. And so I think that films that try to shine a light on what's actually happening now and where it comes from is extremely important, because the propaganda has to have something like a counterpart, a regulator from your side as well, and to correct it in times. So it's very important that you started with it already and that you keep on going. So we wish you all the energy and the power to keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you very much. We'll continue doing this.
Okay, so I think that's wrap, because we are now at the limit of our time. Thank you very much, Hill.
Thank you. Thank you a lot.